This video is going to be a follow-up to the live stream that I did just yesterday about chord inversions and transcribing. And in this video, I'm going to talk a little bit more about inversions and then also give you some tips about chord progressions and how to just keep the chords all in one place and use these inversions to your advantage. So whether you're a writer or you play keyboards in a band and you just want to have more of a spatial modern sound, then these tips will definitely be helpful for you. Let's start talking about inversions a little bit more. And I'm just going to use an F major chord here. Actually, let's use an F7. Right now we're in root position with F on the bottom. And so let's say we want to invert the chord up. Then we just take the bottom note, whatever that is at the time, and we take it up an octave. And then reposition our hand. Now we have a first inversion, F7 chord. If we want to invert higher up on the piano, we just take that same formula again. We take the A, move it up an octave now, reposition our hand, and that's how you can invert any chord. It doesn't matter what it is. C major 7, we just take the bottom note, move it up an octave, and reposition our hand. First inversion, C major 7, do it again, take the bottom note, move it up an octave. Second inversion, C major 7 chord. And we can even invert this one more, take the G up, and then if we go one more time, then we're going to be back to root. It doesn't matter what chord it is, and then likewise, let's go back to our F7 again. If we want to invert any chord down, we just do the opposite. We take the top note, which is E flat in this case, move it down an octave, and then reposition our hand. Now we've just moved down an inversion on the keyboard. Same thing, let's move down again. Take the top note, down an octave, reposition our hand, and there you go. So we can keep using that formula to invert any chord up or down the piano. And it doesn't matter what chord it is, if it's altered or extended, it doesn't matter at all. Now let's talk about chord progressions a little bit and how we can make them smoother and more modern sounding. We're going to use a C to an A minor 7, F to G. And that's a common progression. So why would we use those chords that I chose and not C in root position, F, A minor, and G? Well, it gets the job done, and for some songs that might even work. But most of the time in modern music, popular music, what we want to do is we want to keep the chords in one general area without too much jumping around. If our chords are staying in one area, then it's just going to sound more spatial, more modern, less square. So I started with this C chord, and then notice I can now do the A minor 7 chord, same exact inversion of the C chord, and then F. You notice I just went from here to here instead of C to F. That isn't too bad, but it's a little bit smoother, a little bit closer to just move up to the next inversion of the F chord. So we got C, and then we got A minor 7, or it could be just regular A minor, and then F, and then G. We have one more chord. We could either move up right to the G chord, or we could go from F to the G. Both of those options would work. Now compare if we use all root chords versus the inversions that I showed you. Here is every chord in root position. C, A minor 7, F, and G. Doesn't sound bad, but now let's compare it to the inversions that we used. C, A minor 7, F, G. A little bit more modern sounding, a little bit more spatial. And when I use the word spatial, basically what I'm talking about is reusing the same notes as much as possible. And now let me give you one last example of how it works to just have a more spatial sound by keeping the chords all in one area. And I'm going to use 1 and 5 in C major. This is the 1 note, and this is the 5. So whatever key you're in, you can really hang on the 1 and 5 a lot to keep it more spatial and to connect everything together. I'm going to use these same chords, except now I'm putting the chords in the left hand of C, A minor 7, F, and G. And this is kind of just for demonstrative purposes, but notice how it just connects everything together, gives it more of a modern and spatial sound. So that's just a little fun example I wanted to give you to kind of close out this video, and I hope that was helpful for you. Please let me know if you have any questions or comments.